What it do, YouTube? We back with another banger. Before we start this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also share this video out. We have everything to start molding the wide body onto the GTI. So we have everything. I don't know if you guys watched the last video. If you didn't, I need you guys to go watch the last video from when we started to now, so you can understand why I'm doing this. This is not for clout. This is for me, for you guys. It's something I've always dreamed of doing to any of my cars. It's time. We're here, and there's no time to be playing around. So let's get to it. As you see, we have all the products here, starting from the basics to what we need. I will leave a link in the description down below. So here is our panel body adhesive. What that does, it's a super strong glue which will glue the fender flares to the body. Let that cure for 24 hours. And then we have our Evercoat glass light, which is light strands of fiberglass. That is going to be the first base for molding the wide body. Then you have our Bondo, which is basically just forming the wide body as if it's one with the car, just to make it flush and look unison. After that, we're going to use primer, which basically acts as if it's a paint. It's going to look like paint, but it's not paint. It's just to make sure that there are no mistakes, or if you have any mistakes like ripples inside of the Bondo, you go ahead and it'll bring out the imperfections. You go ahead and sand that down. You also need mask. Very important when dealing with fiberglass, because you do not want that in your respiratory system. Then we have our sanding products. So you have your orbital sander, you have your 80 grit, 120 grit, 220 grit, and then you go up to about 3,000 grits. And then you have our spreader when we are using both of these products. Both of these products I will definitely, well, all the products I will leave inside of the description below. You never want to do any type of body work without hardener, because hardens the Bondo and fiberglass when you're mixing, so that when you put it on the body of the car, it strengthens it. Now I have to go ahead and sand down where I'm going to be putting the wide body. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and sand that down with the 80 grit sanding paper and the orbital, just so you can have bare metal. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the panel body adhesive. It's going to adhere to the car, and that takes 24 hours. So we went ahead and used the 80 grit sanding paper to sand down. What you want to do is you want to sand down where the wide body or your flares is going to meet the body. You want to make sure it doesn't have any more paint on it, because you need the adhesive to stick to metal, so that it can bond properly. You do not want it to stick to any type of Bondo, because it will lift. Bondo is not like an adhesive, it's more like a body filler. So I'm gonna still go ahead and sand this portion down to metal, but as you see, we got some metal there. And you do not want to sand more than you need to. So I sand about an inch above where the wide body is going to be placed. So yeah, this is at this point we're just laying down the panel body adhesive on the flares. Once that is done, you can go ahead and apply it to the car. Normally you'd want to trim down the edges of the flares, but I didn't. As you've seen in the last clip, we went ahead and put the panel bonding adhesive onto the flare so that we can put mounted to the car. I went around and did it to every other panel right now. So next step is we're going to go ahead and use the fiberglass to start molding the flares onto the car. I'm gonna go ahead and do the bumpers when I'm not recording. Also, when you are mounting the flares or your wide body to the car after putting the panel body adhesive, You also want to make sure there are no gaps, so when you are laying down the fiberglass, it won't make a buckle in the fiberglass. You want everything to be smooth and layered out. That's why you see as many screws or self-tapping screws inside of the flare.
The next day.
Now we are going to go ahead and use the glass light to lay down the fiberglass on the car. At this point, we're just mixing the hardener and the fiberglass just so it becomes one. As soon as it turns that green color, you can apply it to the car and you're ready to go. Now, as you see, I'm just applying the fiberglass thoroughly just to make sure it gets between all the crevices. Your main point is you want to cover all the bolt holes where the bolt goes, where you screwed in the fiberglass or the wide body kit, just to make sure it's even. And you're going to do about 5 coats of this. Each coat you're going to sand down. We went ahead and applied 3 coats of fiberglass. Essentially what you're trying to do is just hide all the holes that you drilled into your fender, aka your wide body. You're just using the fiberglass to hide those and to make sure it's stiff, so when you air out or if you're static, it does not, you know, rip apart and it doesn't make any cracks. Next step is the Bondo, which is basically shaping the wide body to the car, and you don't want to go more than above where you sanded. You just want to focus on these areas and you don't want to come too far down. You're just focusing on where the wide body or your fender flares meet, which is right here. We are done molding the body of the car. Do not worry about these bumpers. I will be doing that off camera just to speed up the process, but as you see, we're done with fiberglass. I went around and did every corner. I just finished doing this one, did the rear as well. Yeah, so next step is Bondo. With that process is basically sculpting the body with the Bondo so you could get that type of caricature you want with your car and the fiberglass and the wide body. With that, you're not going to be using a orbital sander. You're going to be using a sanding block, usually with a higher grit like 200 all the way to 3000, just so you can get that fine finish. But yeah, this is how the car looks. Do not worry about that wire. That is my battery tender. Yeah, we're done. Officially wide bodied. Well, officially molded wide body. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share this out to everybody. Trying to get to 1,000 subs. Thank you for 262 subscribers. I couldn't do this without y'all. I love you guys. Thank you so much. We got so much more in store for the GTI. Peace.